right, Jackson Aurelia, Jackson Aurelia, gonna rock it now, gonna rock it now, rock it, Jackson Aurelia, TForce.
Welcome to the rework of the TForce. Now we going hard cause we bumping at the beat source. It's a 3-course dinner of dudes bringing the news and stats, interviews and casts from the pro scene. So fresh and so clean, like you're leaning with Nami in the bot lane. Keep it hot like brand, practicing his dot game. Give it to you easy like you're Resi in a bot game. Imagine Draven at prime time. Now ulti like LeBlanc can copy that 4 times, but manlier. Knock it up like now fight planning a family-er. You gotta be tuned in like Sona on the ad wall. Get on the chat call. Can a podcast really be all that? Of course. How do 4 guys make a Triforce?
Hey guys, welcome to Trinity Force Podcast, and I do have a question for all of you. How do 4 guys make a Triforce? Can somebody answer that for me? It's been 252 episodes, and I still don't have any idea how that happens.
It's easy. One's a Phage, one's a Zeal, one's a Sheen, and the other's the recipe to finish it all up.
Well, the Sheen is here, Punch is here.
Hey, I'm the Sheen, I guess.
The Zeal is here, DeClawd is here.
Howdy, with Zeal. Hey.
I'm the Phage, of course, and the terrible recipe cause.
I'll tie us all together, boys.
Thanks, Chira.
No problem.
Chira is the recipe cost. You're that 3 gold. Congratulations.
I'm good.
You guys are listening to episode number 252 of the Trinity Force Podcast. As always, here we go with tons of announcements. First and foremost, the Trinity Force Podcast is hosting our very first 1v1 tournament for bronze to golds. If you want to get on that, go to our subreddit at TForce Network. It's reddit.com/r/TForce Network. If you've never been on Reddit, you need to go there because that's the way to get included in the discussion. Like a lot of you guys will email us with questions and I'll reply back, you should go on Reddit. And some of you will go, well, I don't do Reddit. I've never done that before. Well, it's 2015.
You can lurk in Reddit. You don't have to participate in Reddit. You can go there and read and lurk. Just kind of watch from the
shadows.
shadows.
That way you can say that you read
absorb the information.
Right. We are going to be moving that eventually one day to a website, so there's like a forums and stuff, so we can get off of Reddit. But we're still not. We're going to close the Reddit down, like because there's 500 of you or so that are already following the subreddit. So we have to get on there, dude. Guys, get on the subreddit. Go on there. Go sign up for the 1v1 tournament. I'll make a bit.ly link to make it easier. It'll be bit.ly/TForce1, if that works. If that doesn't work, it'll be TForce tournament. Okay, so TForce 1 or TForce tournament. I'm gonna give you 2 options because one time I said something and it was already used.
Yeah, that's why you shouldn't say anything.
Who uses TForce anything?
Yeah, no one.
We gotta kick their
bit.ly
ass.
TForce 1 NE. For when 1 NE. Oh, NE.
Could be 1 NE.
It could be. The winner of this 1v1 tournament will gain $10 in RP from a courtesy of the podcast. You will get the semifinals, and the finals will be streamed on the channel. The sign-up date is the end of this month. I think it's like the 23rd, so you only have a few days left. Second announcement. Podcast awards were last night, and drum roll, please.
We did it, boys. We lost again.
We did it, boys.
Yeah.
If you didn't watch with us live, you didn't miss out on anything at all. I sound like Chira right there. Like, it was the biggest shit show of it. Like, if you think our intros are long...
You didn't miss out on anything except for a whole lot of awkwardness and an intro that lasted borderline longer than the actual awards and...
Bad jokes and groans from the audience.
Something about the audience. Something about a zipper cooter. I don't know. I didn't get that part.
Shut up. You're still doing this.
I don't know what it is.
Oh my.
Okay. So we didn't win the podcast awards, but thank you everybody who did the contest. The contest, I will have an email out to you this week with those winners. So there's 3 of you that got picked. I'll announce those winners on Monday. I said Wednesday, but I'm announcing them on Monday just because I wanted to make sure I had an extra day to take care of it. I've been taking care of a lot of other stuff in the background, unfortunately. So that money's going out. So thank you guys if you voted for us. We appreciate it. We're going to go back here next year, try to get in the podcast awards, try to win it because a World of Warcraft podcast to win it. So why can't a League of Legends podcast not win it? Like,
well, next year Rooster Teeth will be back in and we'll be screwed.
They were in it this year, and so was Giant Bombcast. Like
they were both there.
They were?
One of the shows from their network was on there.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
It was the same guy that won the gaming
Can we do
podcast that won
multiple
earlier.
shows from our network to improve our chances?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Do the rundown, do the proper, do the Oswald.
Yeah, we're gaming this next year.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, I should have said that out loud. All right, guys, moving on. If you guys want to support the podcast, there's 2 ways to support it. teespring.com/TForce Poppy. Go spend your $20 plus shipping. You've only got like 13 days left. You can get the Optimus Poppy t-shirt. You can wear that. It comes in 4 different colors. You can get a t-shirt, you can get a hoodie, or you can get a woman's t-shirt if you are a woman out there and like those. They are American Apparel t-shirts. They are very comfortable. They're very nice. They are 100% cotton, so they are machine washable. Just remember to don't wash them at high heat, to wash them with your delicates because they'll...
And remember, it's TEE Spring.
That's right.
Like it's TEE spelled out. TEEspring.com.
/TForce Poppy. That directly supports the podcast. We do make a little bit of chunk of money off of each of those, and that goes to, again, everything you guys give us. If you guys buy a t-shirt, if you donate, if you support us any way, whatever you give us helps directly keep this podcast going, because like I said, we do have server costs that we're taking care of every month. We're able to take care of it, but every little bit helps to move everything forward and make sure that you guys get the best content.
Especially if we see our shirts at LCS events and other conventions and things. If you see them mixed in the crowd, that's just even cooler. That's pretty sweet.
And we want pictures. Like if you get an Optimus Poppy shirt, go to an LCS event and go get a picture and send it, because we will retweet it and send it out and talk about it. So if you donated to the podcast, you can. TrinityForcePodcast.com/donate. We had 4 donations come in over the last 2 weeks that I'm going to read. It might have been like last week, but we're going to start at the beginning here. First and foremost, we had $15 from Josh. He says, "Hey, it's the guy who's been doing all the artwork. I finally had enough to donate. Thanks for all your work you guys do to help people like me get better at the game."
Thanks, buddy.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh.
Thank you.
That and his artwork is really awesome.
Yes, it is.
He did one of Mia's Pantheon with Syndra as a baby, and I love it. I got it as my Twitter header.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see the one. He's got me as his ear. It's
I
like,
thought his name was Jason.
yeah. No,
Or is that just his Twitter name?
You know what?
Yeah, Jason.
Because I had a fake Twitter name.
Did you? A punch and newborn?
Oh,
No.
Raymond
For a little
Flint.
bit. Remember it was Raymond
Well,
Flint for a
there's
while.
2 Joshes on this list, so did you just put his name down wrong?
Yeah, I probably did.
I think it was Jason.
It's Jason.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Jason.
Thanks, Jason. You're the man.
Thanks for
And
correcting.
sorry that Adam's just illiterate or can't read.
$15 from Steven. Just donated and wanted to say you guys are the best. Love the show and so excited for Chance, the trial shoutcast from Battle Arena. Couldn't survive work without these guys, without this podcast network, rather.
Cool. Thank you.
No, you're the best, Steven.
And we can't survive without fans like you.
$25 from Josh. Hey, I've been listening to the podcast for a few months and just wanted to say you guys are awesome. I also got the chance to participate in Battle Arena SmackDown and had a blast.
Oh, nice. We got to do more SmackDown.
We're gonna do another one here. I've just been
Nice.
I've been taking care of other things. We've had some pretty bad background issues where we've had a couple deaths and stuff, so things have kind of been halted. Like I don't want to talk too much about it, but condolences to people's families and whatnot. That this is all volunteer work, so I want everybody to take care of what they have to take care of.
Yeah.
But it's stay on a positive note here. $5 from Keyblade Terra. He's got a question that goes along with this. Remember, I said if you donate and bring a question, we will answer that first and foremost. You get priority because you give us money. I'm just gonna come out and say it. Question. I was the Heimerdinger last Wednesday's in-house after the stream, and I was wondering where signups for the next Battle Arena SmackDown arena. And how do
Those
you
will
feel...
be forthcoming.
Yes. And how do you feel about off-meta junglers like Brand, Quinn, and Taric? So let's jump right in there. The guys, this, just so you know, before we talk about this is a patch note, or not a patch note, a mailbag episode. So we're answering everything that we have backlogged. So Chira, off meta junglers. You tried swing
right.
jungle the other day.
Off meta junglers are super fun to play, and I would recommend you play them with friends and screw around regularly in normals with that if you want to. But I'm of the opinion where you should keep those completely out of ranked because not so good to tilt your team as soon as you end up picking that brand jungle and then you get invaded and they're not paying attention and they don't help you and you die and then you're behind for the rest of the game. I just say for solo
that's
queue,
kind of the problem with Morgana and Swain jungle is if
Yeah.
you get behind it all,
You're
even a
useless.
little bit, you are almost useless.
yeah,
Taric jungle sounds
that's-
interesting.
Sounds really slow.
All right, Taric jungle can work, but you also just ask Frown Power about that. He knows all about that Taric play. There's so many champions that can jungle just fine that aren't even necessary. Like they're good, but they're not necessarily like current meta, and you could
Right.
easily just jungle one of those. I'd keep away from the people like Brand who, to be honest, are going to have a really, really rough first clear. you might be able to do some interesting stuff with Quinn.
Well,
Taric,
that's
you
the
could
problem
do stuff,
with a
but
lot of these is unless you're abusing mechanic like the Twisted Fate that was in the LCS, where
Right.
he was abusing
right.
the leash.
reset.
the leash mechanic,
Yeah.
that these people are going to take a lot of damage and they're going to be forced to go back after 2 camps, while meta junglers, but a lot of them can stay in
Should
the
be
jungle.
going back after 3.
Yeah, a lot of them should be going back after 3, but a lot of them can actually stay in the jungle for a little more than 3. Like
Right.
they can do 3 and go and gank, or 3 and get the
Right.
crab.
3
or
and
whatever
gank
it may
is good.
And then they actually, after the gank, if they don't take a lot of damage, they'll have regen enough, assuming they're not taking damage in the gank, that they can go back and do another camp. Or there's people like Udyr who can just stay in the jungle forever.
Well,
Or
that's
Zac
like
who can just
that's
stay
one
there.
thing I want to bring up, because I did screw around with Swain Jungle the other day as kind of an ode to Wrecker, because I just felt like
yeah.
doing it and Swain was free. So I had to back after blue buff. Started Grump, had to back after blue, almost died at Wolves midway through the camp, realized I couldn't do it. I think I was level 4.
You didn't have the right runes and masteries.
I had the right masteries, probably. The runes, not so much. But even still, like, it's one of those situations. The clear wasn't quick. It isn't just that it wasn't quick. It's just it's not worth playing a champion where you're going to get behind early and you're going to have to play catch up over the rest of the game. Like, I would much rather play somebody like Udyr or any like Cho'Gath, any jungler who can just kind of do your own thing, back after wolves or back with like a quarter health rather than a very small sliver, and then continue along your path. Or even somebody that, like, again, Udyr, who if you're utilizing your abilities correctly, you don't even need to back after the first 3 camps. You can just keep on clearing. So, like, it's just one of those situations, especially as a jungler, you're trying to get, it's any role actually, you're just trying to get as ahead as quickly as possible while taking as few risks. And when you're playing an off-meta jungler, especially somebody with a ridiculously hard time to clear before you can back, if you get invaded, you're done for a while until you have the time to catch up, or somebody else on your team dies and you go
Because a lot of times
soak up that XP.
You can get invaded even though you got that rangers. You can only clear 2 camps, and then you have to go back again. Now you're spending a lot of time running from base, and it's just, well,
it's not
find ways to make it work. Find ways to band-aid it with different mastery combinations. If you really want to play it, do it normals, have fun with it, and once you're super
customs,
confident, you
preferably.
can take it into rank.
Just to try the jungle path.
And the other big part of this is, maybe you're able to get away with it at a lower elo because people they don't recognize that, oh, hey, they're playing Lee Sin, you're playing Brand. You're going to be low as hell until you get a couple items. Every time you go to clear, and all Lee would have to do is show up and land his QQ combo and slow you, and you either have to flash or
you'll be the
dead.
one who's QQing.
Yeah, I just realized it's like, do you remember World of Warcraft? Obviously you do, Chira. Do you remember the guild QQ with the High Warlord? What was he? Human. He was a human warrior in guild QQ, and he was a High Warlord. Do you remember his name?
There were so many human.
No, there was just one, and he was the only person in the guild with that. He was with a hunter, High Warlord hunter, and the guild was called QQ.
Wait,
on Shadow Moon.
If he was human, then he was Grand Marshal, and
Yes.
the only people I can think of are like Hilde, Samurant.
It had to have been Hilde. Sorry,
It
I know
probably
this is.
was
I know
Hilde.
it's still. It had totally. But Chira and I played in the same World of Warcraft.
Hilde's was the
server.
man. I like that dude.
2006. But anyway, it just reminded me. I was going to say QQ. Chira. We always made fun of QQ. Let's move on because that just completely killed this conversation.
I thought there was a point, but
Yeah.
No, I just wanted to bring it up because I
Adam
remembered.
just
I
straight
had a moment.
hijacked his own
That'll work.
idea and then ran it right into the ground.
I've seen AD Malzahar jungle work though. I've seen
Okay,
it. I was
but-
one of
Sure, but
those
you
who was
have a
like,
path
"Oh
to
my
tank
god,
for you,
this
right?
is Malzahar
That-
jungle." And then he
Also
carried
have-
us. He was on my team and he carried us. It was amazing.
You also have a pet that tanks. For
Yeah, you have a pet that tanks for you. You're
Right,
not
yeah,
directly
I mean,
taking
it's
that
safe.
damage yourself.
Yeah. So, but you don't really need to go AD to have that work. You could still go AP and have it work. But he went AD and it was just amazing. It was really well played.
Go AD to make your pet, because your pet gets all the passive stats for it and just makes him a beast.
Makes him a little better, yeah.
All right, on to the listener questions. Mount Croth writes, what are your thoughts on Ahri and how the pros are currently playing her? It seems they are still trying to play her as an assassin, but Riot moved her assassin pattern with 5.2, removal of DFG and her charm change. She is still reliant on her charm, but does not have the burst to follow up on a 1 to 2 second CC. What are your thoughts on Ahri's current state, and where does she fit in? Does she have the tools for effective wave clear assassination, burst damage? She does not have the tools for effective wave clear assassination or burst damage, it seems.
I like her. I still think she can burst.
She still hits pretty hard. She's still one of those champions that like you start putting like when you get enough points in queue, you're able to buy
What was the charm change? They made the hitbox smaller, I think, or what did they do?
They reduced the extra damage that you take. From
the damage on it. Yeah. So using that as part of it.
You lose the passive like bonus,
right.
But at the same time, like maybe you're not blowing up people as quickly, but Ahri is still played in the right hands, is still pretty solid, can get picks off, and has some of the best roaming potential out of any mid laner.
Well, the most damage in the laning phase is that return orb on the Q.
Right, the true damage.
And that really hurts.
And when they made those changes, they wanted to turn her into like a kite mage, so that she could do damage while staying safe and kind of dance around people. And she's still really good at that. She still has a ton of mobility, which is pretty rare for a caster, and very nice to have. And she still has the ability to assassinate people when she gets ahead, just because her burst damage can really skyrocket.
Who played her in the LCS last week? They played her really well into LeBlanc. No. Zed, something. I think it might have been Zed. I don't know, but somebody played her really well in European LCS and succeeded. And they played her like an assassin. So that, as far as the pros, I wish I had more details. I'm just going off the top of my head right now when I remember.
And from what I'm seeing too, that everybody, all the pros that are currently still playing her are building her straight assassin as well. So
how else would you build her?
That's exactly.
You're not going to build her like a tank. She's not going to. She's supposed to avoid damage, not absorb
Are they building her Luden's Echo?
At least fake like in Faker's last two games that he's played.
Charm will
get it early.
Yeah, Charm will proc Luden's Echo right off the bat, so that's some extra damage with your Charm hitting them really early.
Help make up for the nerf. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I mean you're still seeing like the traditional way that she's always been built with just the Luden's Echo added on.
Well, to be fair,
are they doing Thenes again now?
Everybody that I'm seeing right now is still building her with Morello.
Okay.
Yeah, she doesn't need Athene's too much sustain. She needs to be that burst. You need to understand how to use your Orbit Deception, properly, so that you're maximizing the damage and the lifesteal. Yeah. For a while there, she was an issue. Before they made the charm change, she was an issue because how fast she moved. But I think that with the change with Cinderhulk and all of that, she fell out of favor of the professional scene, so people stopped playing her in solo queue. Because, again, solo queue is very much affected by the LCS.
Yep,
and
emulating their heroes.
I still think there's really nothing wrong with her to play in solo queue if you're good with her. I mean,
I agree.
It's kind of strange how I think about it, because you still see LeBlanc play in the tank meta. And I would think LeBlanc would fall out for the same reason.
Right, because LeBlanc's terrible at
what is she
killing
doing?
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe she is still a viable pick. And
she's still viable. Like again, she has awesome.
Yeah, viable pick's the wrong word. But.
Yeah. I mean, she has great pick potential, and she roams so well. And if you are able to get ahead, you can bully out the enemy mid laner or just all in them and kill them still. Like. Yeah. Even with the damage reduction, maybe you have to get one more Q off to kill somebody. The damage bonus. It is a damage reduction.
There's no longer that 20% damage bonus or whatever it was.
So that's what I'm saying. So like if the 20% is missing, you might have to get one extra Q off. But even still, like that, if you're able to get a slight advantage on somebody, you're still able to all in them between your ult, ignite, and whatever else. And I love that champion, and she's also like, she's pretty hard to play. So she's fun. I don't know.
She is fun.
Yeah,
she's so mobile, and her abilities are neat because they have little contingencies to them. So, this question is similar to a lot of the knee-jerk reaction to Veigar when the DFG was removed. Mm-hmm. DFG was removed, and then you just list all mage assassins and say they're dead, but they're not.
That removal of DFG proved that the item was just too powerful and that the game didn't actually need that item.
Well, who was it?
Successful.
Who's Voyboy? He was saying that it was kind of just like gravy, like you use it to use it, but you didn't need it to burst anyway.
Yeah,
so, I agreed with him.
It made sure somebody was dead.
It was good for the tanks, like the tanks, and you always wanted to use it right as the beginning one because that's when it did the most because it was based off a current. But
and you could blow up a tank. Which shouldn't
kind of.
happen.
You could hurt a tank and then hopefully blow him up with the rest of your abilities. So, but Ahri still has that true damage, so tanks doesn't matter.
Well, let's move on. Yeah,
Still
Ahri, I
player,
think
she's strong.
Ahri
Sure.
just Ahri's still strong. I don't see why why she wouldn't be played. Probably more or less, it has to go with the way the comps are being picked right now around like Juggermaw, and there's a lot of comps where they allow the tanky top laner, and you have LeBlanc, and people prefer LeBlanc over Ahri and Zed still. The whole long reason we get into and continue this conversation, but we're going to move on to talk more questions. So David writes in, one of my bad habits is that I'm an extremely passive player. I've been told that my risk-averse style is costing me a lot of potential kills and throwing my advantages. But because I'm so risk-averse, I don't have the experience to know firsthand whether or not I'll win any given all-in. I've resolved to take more risk in my play, and I know that it takes some trial and error to improve, but I want to start with a solid foundation. My question is, how do you judge whether or not you should all-in? Is there a mental checklist of factors that can help me make the educated guesses as I learn? Relevant information for his question is that he's a top lane main, silver 3.
Okay. A big one. Are you playing somebody that has a strong early game? And are you hitting level 2 or 3 before the enemy?
Yeah, you need to that, and you need to know your matchups. I'd say
Right.
first of all, like you need to know if you can go all in on somebody, and that just comes down to knowing that the strength of your champion and the strength of who you're playing against. He talks about he knows that he has to gain more experience with going all in. It kind of sounds like he's hesitant to try it out, and I'd say, or I'd ask why you're afraid to just be stupid aggressive in like a practice game. Just play a few practice games and just go all out and see what happens.
It's getting
and then
past that
take
mental
notes of what
barrier.
happens and make adjustments based on those.
Well, yeah, when you said why, I think it goes back to something that Chris was talking about. It's getting past that mental barrier that is holding you back. You've resolved to be this type of player, and now you've told yourself I can only be this type of player, and it's very hard to.
You're putting your
Good
like
point.
an anxiety on yourself that you probably don't need.
Yeah, so I'd say when you go into those practice games, go in with that goal in mind. Like, my goal this game is to be stupid aggressive and to try and kill the enemy at level 3, level 5, pick a power spike that your champion has.
and
then try to kill
force
them at that point.
yourself to stay in longer than you would normally stay.
Yeah.
That's something I had.
But not like me, where I stay too long.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not really risk averse, David. Maybe you're just concentrating too much on your lane mechanics, your CSing, things like the basics, and that's just you're playing the game and you're getting the entertainment value out of it doing that, and you don't really. Maybe a trade here or there, but you don't really do an all-in because you're getting the fulfillment you need out of what you're doing. Maybe if you practice the basics a little more, just so they become muscle memory in the background, you'll get a little bored, and that'll make you want to take these risks and go in and all-in somebody, and maybe try to make even more of a trade. If you see you're winning a trade, push that a little bit more, and maybe then you see, oh, wait a minute, this is coming off cooldown. This trade went really well. I could probably get a kill off of this.
Right. I also want to say, like, and he's on the right page when he says that he's going to have to do this quite a few times before he knows whether or not he's going to be able to do it, like, repetitively. But it's also going to come down to how comfortable you are with the champion that you're playing. So, like, if you played a whole lot of Garen and you know that, oh, they can't really do that much if I'm able to silence them, so you just run up Q and then you put your entire E into them, pop W and run away.
Or play Riven, where you're all about
that's
just
exactly
going all in on them.
that's exactly what I was going to
No,
say.
Riven's way too hard to play though.
No,
But
no.
Riven is all
you
in.
say that.
That's what
You
she is.
say that, and she is extremely hard to play, and you're not going to see much success on her unless you're really good at her. But there is no other champion that will teach you to abuse power spikes like that champion will in top lane.
Yeah.
Like that champion's all about. Oh, you leveled up right before they did. Just go crazy for.
Renekton's going to teach you that though when he's safer.
Yes, but
He's not as good at abusing power spikes. I'll give you that. But no,
and the
he's a
difference
safer
is-
pick, and he can.
Yeah, but he's
Try
trying
both of
he's-
them.
He's trying to mentally get himself to be more of a risk taker and be more of an all-in
I
type
don't
player.
want
I think
to-
if you play Riven, that's how you have to play her to
Right.
succeed.
Well, okay,
so
Well,
he's
the
gonna
other-
fail.
the
I
other
don't
difference-
want
hey,
to. No, I
until
don't.
he
I don't
gets
want to give
aggressive.
somebody a champion that has such a high ceiling to be good, because that person's already trying to get to an end goal. So giving them something that's hard, that's extremely hard to play, means you've stretched that goal out even further than what they need to get to. So why not give them baby steps? Like, first and foremost, start with, like, we can go, I know you're top lane, but we can go mid lane with Katarina. Katarina can actually all in somebody at like level 3 or 4 without her ultimate, but you can also start abusing power spikes with somebody like Katarina, who is at her level 6. You should be instantly all in on that person with Ignite and just going balls to the wall and trying to force them out of the lane. Now, why don't we pick a champion that's a little bit easier to play and ease somebody into Riven, who there's so much minutia in her kit that if he's already focusing on doing one thing better, why should he have to focus on 6 other things to make him better?
If you want to go that route, then Renekton and Olaf are probably 2 top, like, potential top laners that are both really good at that. What? Who?
Pantheon.
Yeah, Pantheon can do it as well. Pantheon is the exact same. The only reason I wanted to, like, the whole premise of me bringing up Riven is that, like, that champion to do well on her requires you to do exactly what this guy's asking. That's exactly and the difference between Riven and somebody like Renekton is if you do it right on Riven, you'll probably carry the game. If you do it right on Renekton and you hit that time limit wall, you might not.
I don't disagree. Right. I completely agree with you guys that Riven is the champion, like the all-in.
Just the way to break that mental block. It's not overall success in the top lane.
I'm not saying go out and start playing Riven in ranked.
Use Riven as your way to break that mental block, and then you can go to easier champion. Because you'll know if you're playing Riven passively, you're not going to succeed. Maybe you know what? Maybe you will. I'm not going to say be definitive, but chances are you need to play her really aggressive.
I do like the Pantheon pick too, and this is going to sound kind of silly, but it's partly for the reason that if you wanted to just practice this, you could take Ignite on Pantheon, and you're not necessarily that crazy punished for not taking teleport because you'll still have your ult later on. So, like, I really like that one too. So I'm glad DeClawd brought that up.
Specific champions aside, I kind of wanted to touch or give him a couple more rules, just in general rules, which is taking advantage of when you level up and you have a level advantage. Because as soon as you gain that level advantage, that's a significant power spike, and you need to take advantage of that.
You have a larger minion wave.
Mm-hmm. Another thing to take note of is watch as they use their cooldowns, because just in general, if they use a cooldown that they need in a trade and it's down, that's another time when you want to go in and be aggressive, because they're not going to have that for that trade, and if you hurt them enough, you can kill them.
Perfect point. I love that one. Riven, when she does her little dash and her shield, I wait that out, and then you go balls to the walls on her. So.
That's actually how you do a lot of trading with somebody like Rumble, and even Renekton. That's how you trade against. Yeah. That's how you trade with and against both those champions. You wait for cooldowns to be used. If Renekton goes slices on you, you know he only has a dice, so either he can go in or go out. And if you see him use a W to get some CS, you know he can't stun you, so that way you can trade all in. So I think the start with this is actually start learning matchups, play whatever character you like the most, and learn what those characters do, or go start playing those characters that you see a lot. Go start playing, play the Rivens, play the Pantheons, play the Renektons, play the Jaxes, play Hecarim, play Irelia, play Gnar, play every single champion so you understand what the limitations of the champion are, even if it's just a basic limitation of the champion, where if I use my E, what do I have? Ask yourself that. Use an ability and go, once I've used this ability, what can I do? If the answer is nothing, you can take that into learning how to trade with that champion.
Right. And you'll also find that the more comfortable you are on playing a champion, and the more you know that champion's limitations, then it's going to be so much easier for you to know when you're going to be able to kind of push fights or trades in lane to either a kill point or not.
Yeah, I think Punch pretty much hit the nail on the head. You know, you look for the cooldowns, and that's how you make your decision. And like everyone else, like Adam and Sean are saying, you have to learn those champions. They'll play them, learn the enemy champions, so you know your enemy, and you know what they can do, and you know what those limitations are. And bam, and then all of a sudden you'll be like, I hate when this happens to me when I don't have this up. So when you see the enemy champion do that,
take advantage of it.
I'm going to take advantage of this. So that's a good way to.
These are some nice 1v1 tips for the people who are going to sign up for the TForce 1v1 tournament.
Way to bring that back up.
And eventually, David, you'll be comfortable with aggression, and you'll be like the rest of us, which hate passive top laners and can't stand the tank middle and top lane and sustaining forever. And like, God, it's so boring.
Punch is here! Punch has finally come around!
I hate it!
This is why I don't play top lane anymore, because top lane meta sucks now.
I don't mind when they're passive because I'll just push them up into their turret
That's
all
so
day long as
boring.
Scion and
It's
stay
so
there.
boring.
See, all right, you know what? I'm gonna. You say that you hate it because it's so passive. In a way, I like how relaxed it is because for the past 4, like the entire time I play top lane, I usually play bruisers and I usually just go as ham as possible. Like it's always, I'm going 60 miles per hour. Like I'm going as hard as I can the whole time. So like if I have to play a tank, kind of relaxing nowadays.
Sound like me, old man.
A little bit.
Yeah. Well, talk to Ranhurt. Find Ranhurt, David. He'll tell you how to be really.
Yeah, he'll let you know how to go crazy.
He'll give you the extreme. There's a syndrome. Can't nerf it.
I was about to sing the song, but I stopped myself. So. I know that whole damn song, start to finish. Okay, we're going to move on to the next question. Aurora Dragon writes, I'm trying to actually be aware because somebody emailed today and said that I slur my words, and I emailed back and I said, "No, that's because I usually get drunk by the end of the podcast." So like somewhere in the middle of it, I'm like,
Yeah, some of the words that you say sound like you're trying to slurp them through a straw.
Sometimes that happens. It's generally because I get relaxed and I don't do my Monte Cristo voice exercises. If you don't know what those are, go listen to the LCS rundown.
Like the voice exercise you did before this podcast.
Double dick
At least you
dude.
don't sound like
Dingleberries in the desert.
all I see is Monte Cristo's face and like Will Ferrell from Anchorman doing the little monologues that he does before going on air.
At least it's not Chris Jericho talking about ZipRecruiter. Slurring that together.
Or sex, or
Dang.
saying,
Or
wow,
anything.
wow, MeUndies. Like, Aurora Dragon.
I'm gonna do my best to just erase that whole podcast awards memory just out of my memory bank.
It did go down in history. I will remember that one for a long time now.
Aurora
like
Dragon
for all
writes
the
in,
wrong reasons.
I often
Let's-
play
alright.
with friends and enjoy picking carry champs. He did air quotes around it, or quotes around it. Picking
real
carry champs with little to no CC and building 100% damage. Riven, Vladimir, Katarina, Italy. No sight, stone, full AP supports, etc. So he's always picking something that can carry the game.
No, that's his friends that are always picking that.
Correct. To compensate, I usually fail to try and balance the team comp with tanky CC heavy champions, but I'm usually the only one on the front line. Every time I ask someone else to go tanky or ward, it falls on deaf ears or I get snapped at. Short of finding new friends, what can I do?
What, you don't like playing the tanky champs? Is that why you don't want to be on the front line?
It sounds like his friend is. You know what you need to do is you need to start doing these subtle hints or the subtle ways to try to get people better at this game by, self plug here, but like, hey, why don't you guys come play in Battle Arena with me this week? Or why don't one of your two of you come in there and then tell them after the fact, hey, this was recorded. Why don't you go check out what they have to say? And then you're in for the long haul at this point. This is my opinion for that. You're in the long haul. You need to start slowly trying to get these guys better at the game by subtly dropping hints that are not going to hurt their egos. One, that's like the biggest one. Don't hurt their egos and don't call them out or anything. Be like,
Because
hey,
then those really will be deaf ears.
exactly. If there's a point where hey, your ward is dying bottom lane, you should reward it. Start doing that. Start picking out places. Say how you could go back and talk to the guys if you have a good, nice, candid relationship. If Punch, I'm going to use Punch just as this. If Punch was down in the bottom lane and he gets ganked, I could say the next day, hey, Punch, I watched the review of that game we played last night, and I think if you warded a couple more times in the bottom lane, you may have not had died, and Punch would either, he's going to take that one way or the other. But if I continually tell that to Punch, I think eventually he's going to go, maybe I should use my trinket when it's off cooldown.
Right. Or as the tanky top, you could say, oh, it's my fault because I didn't tell you. I should have told you, but I took teleport so I could telegank your lane. Could you please just try to ward it more? Keep wards available in the deep in the lane bush or something like that. So you're kind of showing like you're hitting yourself a little bit for it. Like, I should have told you this. Sorry. And then, and this is so I can help you.
Make yourself the reason that it happened, but with the subtle hinted note.
It's kid gloves, It's not like us where you say, "Hey, look, you're bad, and you should
Punch.
feel bad,"
Why don't you fucking ward down there so I can make it through my goddamn lane?
That's
son of a
more what I
bitch.
expect to hear from you, not what you said earlier. Like, I was watching
Yeah.
the game, Punch, and I feel like, gee golly willikers, you should have warded more.
Never once has Adam ever said that. Ever.
No.
Exactly.
The last
said it
time that I
before,
said it,
actually.
I said, "Why the fuck is it warded deep? I could have made it down there, you son of a bitch! They had it fucking warded."
Yeah, the warding thing from this question is the one that alarms me because I mean everyone should be, you can pick around people that are playing certain champions, and I mean if they're playing assassin, you can play a pick comp or you can play a split push comp. You don't have to pick a 5v5 or whatever. But the warding, I mean everybody needs to ward. I'd say in addition to what you guys were saying, just kind of give the reasonings for why they're warding, how it benefits them. Like warding obviously protects you from ganks, and warding can help set us up to pick them off when they're in their jungle. Like if we
you could also suggest that if they're gonna play certain champions, like they might play a support that could go AP, not necessarily like somebody like Zyra. Let's say they pick Sona and they're building full AP because that's what they're doing. Instead of doing that, you might be able to link them a site like Pro Builds and just put in Sona for them and be like, hey, these are what like pros usually do on these sort of champions. And, they're the best at what they do, so you should probably emulate them because you might win more. And you also have to take in consideration if your friends aren't necessarily like playing to, I mean, some people play this game to have fun. Other play like, I have a couple people I know. Yeah, they're like super competitive to themselves, but they're also like super selfish of the mentality. Like, I'm going to play whatever I want to play, screw everybody else, whatever.
Right.
And they've been like that for 3 years with other people not playing with them anymore because of it. So like there are certain people that won't change in that sort of situation.
That's just
I really
how they play.
Yeah,
that's play with them anymore.
And you can't always change everybody's opinion, but I think if you listen to what we said, prior to the statement, you can probably help out most people.
Maybe you're like that mother that protect their children, give them everything they want till they're spoiled to the point where they don't realize what it's like without it. So maybe you play a squishy champion and the team realize, hey, look, why are we failing all the time? I don't know. I'm picking a carry just like you guys are. I thought this is what we do. Well, why don't you pick a tanky champion? Because maybe you should try it.
That's an interesting idea. I like that.
It's
just
trial by fire,
the
Throw them in
super
the fire
passive aggressive route where you're just like, well, if nobody else is going to pick a tanky champion, I guess I won't either.
Yeah.
I mean, that would certainly work on me.
It might wake them up, Like, hey, look, why are we winning? We need a tank. All right, fine, I'll play the tank. You just be quiet and be one of them.
If you're the reason they're winning, they're going to continue doing what they're going to do. So something has to change.
Because they don't know.
Something has to give. Well, go ahead.
What I was going to say is that when I first started playing WoW, one of the first roles I picked up was healer because nobody wanted to heal. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the exact same thing that you're talking about. Like, man, nobody plays fucking healer. I need to heal and show these bitches how it's done.
Yeah.
And eventually that turned into tank, and I was the tank because nobody tanked. But I mean, that works. Certainly works for someone like me.
Yet it's still
I see a role that nobody plays, and I know it's necessary, and I'm like, oh, I need to play it because nobody does.
Right, and that sounds like your mentality, Aurora Dragon. So, if you can fight that a little bit, maybe that will help them. It's therapy. One of them will pick up the role and they'll pick up the torch and say, all right, I'll tank. And then, wow, this isn't so bad. Actually, it's the tank meta, so I'm kicking ass and I love it. Hey, other friends, try it out. And then everybody's happy and rainbows and sunshine. So,
you guys want to hear a fun fact?
Yes.
I've been slowly molding DeClawd into this whole Aurora Dragon situation over the past year and a half.
Oh, have you?
Because I've gotten you to break out of your shell. I got you to break out of your shell, and then you were like, oh, these are fun. I'm going to start playing other champions. And he didn't realize I've been doing it for the year and a half that we've known each other.
Which champions? You're right. I haven't realized. That one article, though, the scrub mentality one, actually got to me to do the smart cast and all that kind of stuff.
Well, it's more of like we kind of got you to break out of your shell and try other champions and see what else was out there, and you weren't just playing Pantheon and Malzahar. Like, you were like, I'm going to try Ziggs now, and then Scion came around, and you gave Scion a try. Because, obviously you're really interested, but then you're like, oh, this is really cool. And then there's Sejuani that came, and then we've seen other Syndra. We saw, besides your
Syndra's the one. That's the one that I didn't really like her play style, but come on, my wife named my daughter Syndra.
Yeah, so, no choice at that point.
I had to play her, but
she may as well
I'm not taking 100% for this. I've just been saying I've been slowly trying to plan it in DeClawd's
head. It works. It works with Ziggs. However, Scion was one of my first champions ever played. I loved him. I just didn't like his current state in the meta the way it was for years. So when they reworked, I was really excited for the rework for a long time. But Sejuani, it wasn't because I don't even think I ever listened to the ones where you guys were talking about
that was
Sejuani
so
like
far
crazy.
back in the day, though. That must be way before her rework.
I always liked Sejuani because she was the one champion who had a mount. And I was like, this is cool. I'm one of those scrub mentality. I look at a champion. I like the way they look. I like their voiceover kit. I like their lore. I like all that stuff. So I play them. And if I really like it and I don't like the abilities and they don't feel comfortable with me, but I really like how the champion is, I'll try to make it work. Unfortunately, that happens with some champions. But luckily, Riot has it pretty good with the fitting the abilities with the champion. So.
No more.
But yeah,
tower.
I hear what you're saying, Adam, and
I'm not gonna say I'm 100%.
I'm going back into my shell.
Yeah,
Mal's and Panth only. Now
that you know.
All right. Well,
I'm kidding.
Now that he feels manipulated.
well, DeClawd, I'm gonna need you to go to the post office tomorrow and
fun.
send me that microphone.
Damn it.
Let's move on here. That's hopefully Aurora that gives you something to chew on. Rick writes
Throw him in the fireman.
I've been playing a lot of ranking games lately at bronze level and have come across a lot of teammates disconnecting or experiencing lag. My question is, what should I do in these scenarios? Is there a way to still win games when you're down a man? The simple answer is yes. You can win 4v5s. Actually, Wrecker was telling me about a 4v5 he won today because he had the understanding of what he needed to do. So it comes down to, do you know what you need to do when a 4v5 happens? I would say no because you asked us, so hopefully one of us will be able to explain that to you. First and foremost, I would say that you keep a positive attitude and you keep your team positive. You type in chat, it's okay, we can do this, I'm going to go do this. And you have a game plan, and you tell them what the game plan is. Generally, if you're the jungler, the game plan is, I'm going to clear my jungle, and then I'm going to go top, and I'm going to hold top. And I'm going to try to force the top back, and then I'm going to go back to my jungle. And you type that out. You're going to go, clearing my jungle, going top, going to jungle, clearing top. Like, guys, just stay in the game. That's all you got to do.
If it happens early, you will have an advantage because you will have an experience advantage during the laning phase because no one's grouping up. It's not going to be 5v anything. It's 1v1, 1v1, 2v2, and then jungler. So if it's early, you can take advantage of that little bit of experience gain if you play properly. As the AD carry, let's say the support drops. The AD carry drops, then maybe the jungler can go down there with the support, things like that. So there's a little window where you actually have a little bit of an advantage on them. So
right.
Maybe communicate, like Adam was saying, communicate with the team.
Yeah, I really like the positive communication aspect, especially when you're conveying a plan, because then the rest of your team feels like they're not doomed. And okay, we have a strategy, we have goals, we know what we're going for. And I'd say to base that plan around taking the objectives, taking turrets where possible. You don't really want to group up as a 4v5 team fight, because you're not going to have the advantage there unless you're super far ahead. So you want to be.
Picks.
Don't
right. Picks good.
Chances.
Vision control, taking towers, where out of position, rotations,
rape bushes.
So the punch hit it nail on the head here is vision. You need to start spending your extra money that you have now on vision. If you weren't buying vision before because you just haven't done that way, if you're in 45, you need to let everybody know. Can everybody please pick up a ward in the area? Again, positivity the entire time. Can you please pick up a ward and ward? Can you please upgrade your trinket at 9 and ward? You have to be that voice of reason the entire time, of that voice that they're going to fall back on, because you're going to be the reason that game gets pushed to win. Now, the big way to play 4v5s is hope that you have an advantage in characters that scale better than them, or outplay the enemy team. And generally, you're going to be outplaying. And outplaying the enemy team is by having vision, because by having vision, you have an advantage because you can position yourself in a way that you're going to have an advantage in a team fight or in a fight that's going to break out. You can win a 4v5 team fight in almost, I'll say, a large chunk of scenarios just by having vision, because somebody can't hide in a bush or somebody can't hide in a pit or whatever it may be. They can't get away from you because you have that vision. So continually to keep the jungle full of wards while keeping your team positive is going to help. And then let the team know, don't take just outrageous risks. Don't try to all in them at some weird angle or some weird point, because you don't want every kill you give up to the enemy team allows them to get further ahead than what you would get back, because they have one more person and they're one more up advantage.
They might be doing that though, because a lot of times in the 5v4 mentality, they know one man disconnected, so they're going to maybe take those risks. They're going to think, oh, okay, we got this in the bag. And I like Adam, you bring in a vision, because they're going to face check a lot more. They're going to be overconfident. They're going to be like, oh, we're 5v4, whatever. I can walk into their jungle. Well, if you have vision, you can punish them. Yeah. Right.
It's also one of those things, like if like say you have your AD carry is still there, but your support DCs. How many times have you guys been in a game where the enemy jungler ends up just going bot and they try to shove that turret out as fast as possible.
Yeah.
Like there
And
are
they can't shove
certain
it fast enough because they're only level 5 or 6. So
Right,
that gives
they're-
you an advantage to do what you need to do.
there are certain
They're feeding it
tells
to you, yeah.
and like at least at lower elo that you can kind of see that they'll be like, oh, they think this is what they need to do to try and progress the game as fast as possible. And if your AD carry can hold them off, or if they just let it go or something like that, your jungler or mid or whoever might be able to pick up a kill top, or even end up roaming to help out bottom lane or anything like that. There are things that you can look for, but again, it's about making as few mistakes as possible while capitalizing on any little mistake that the enemy makes.
And that's where vision
So-
comes into play.
Yeah.
Again, wrapping that back around to Chira's point. I would actually say that Banner of Command now in its current form is something that somebody should rush. Hopefully you're supported in DC, that if you can get enough money, because now you will more than likely force it to be a 4v4 in your favor. And if you need the team
Someone
fighting
has to
push
deal
down,
with that lane.
because somebody has to deal with that split pushing lane. So you've gained your 5th man back by allowing that split push to happen.
Another aspect on the vision thing is count the pink wards that your team has on the map, because there should be 4. You should have 4 pink wards down. If you don't, then let your team know about it. Like, hey, somebody need to put down a pink ward. Maybe you should. We need vision.
Yes,
please."
even you AD carries should be buying a
Yep.
pink ward.
Even them.
But it's solo queue, so communication is a crapshoot. At least you're trying, and this is the way that maybe it's a bad situation, regardless, especially in solo queue.
I will say
because
more than likely you're going to lose more 4v5s than you're going to win, but they are winnable.
they are winnable. Yeah, if they're on board with you and if they listen, maybe you'll be good
And
to
if
go.
somebody says in game 2, like going back to the question, if they say that they're lagging and they haven't DC'd, just be like, oh, if you're lagging, just play as safe as possible. Just sit back at your turret, last hit as you can or whatever. Again,
Yeah,
it
I
comes
got
down
you.
to
Play
like,
safe.
Because they
I'll
might
protect
not
you.
be lagging.
well, they might
just
not.
say that they're lagging, which
But-
happens a lot, I think.
Yeah,
Usually after a
that
death.
likely
lag.
does. But at the same time, instead of going like, well, why the heck did you just try to all in them at level 3 when they're level 4?
Lagging.
Yeah. Don't ask the why question.
Lag maybe
Yeah, don't
click the
ask
button.
why. Just
Never
be like,
ask
oh, I get
why.
it.
I think one of the biggest things in
The
this
answer won't
I
help.
think one of the biggest things that kills people in this game is typing. Because too many people spend their fucking time typing and not actually paying attention and playing. I've done it. I've seen it happen where I've gotten so angry in the past that I've just typed, stood in the middle lane and died. And then I'm trying to hit my back and enter key, and and now there's like half a sentence that got wrote out, and people were like,
And
"What
you're
the
going,
fuck
"Oh,
you trying to
chat, I was
say?"
typing, man.
Yeah, just don't type more than needs to be typed. Don't argue with somebody. If somebody, just be positive. Say, hey, we can
But
win.
it feels
Pep
so
talk and then move
good
on.
when you killed
doesn't-
somebody and you're
it
running
doesn't
away.
feel
It does feel good,
But
Chira.
It doesn't.
It feels
It does.
so
Shut your lying
good.
mouth.
You think it does.
Temptress.
It never feels good for me because somebody will always have some kind of stupid comeback.
Just bind your /laugh on a key or /taunt on a key and piss people like Chira off at the end
Just
of the game.
talk in real
Slash-
life as if you're
It's
streaming.
never. I don't understand why you think that doesn't. It doesn't do anything.
Yeah, it does. Remember you mentioned you said the whole thing that pissed me off more was Brahm's laugh at the end of that game when I.
That was one game.
Nexus was
That was
blown up.
one game ever.
Uh-huh.
Well,
Change
this
the
is
soul
just
ever.
one
Now I do
podcast,
it every
and
game
we only
against
have 7 more questions to get through. So
All right, let's do it.
here we go. Angelo writes in, I've been running into an issue recently, and I'm wondering how you guys would deal with it. I'm a Plat mid support main. When I get forced into other roles, I struggle. I've also been good at jungle and can play an okay AD carry, but no matter what I do, I cannot play top. I've made efforts at getting better. I just don't like top, and I feel like my time is better spent improving my other roles. However, inevitably, this leads to a lot of verbal abuse from my team when I get stuck top and end up feeding. How do you deal with getting stuck in a role you cannot play?
First, I have to ask, are you communicating with your team during champ select that you can't play top? Because top is usually a pretty popular role, and it seems strange that you would get stuck with this role often. I know the role I can't play right now is jungle, and if it looks like to the point that I might get stuck with jungle, I'm going to say as soon as possible, hey guys, can someone jungle? I mean, once everybody calls their roles and if I don't see a jungle, I ask, can somebody jungle? Because I can't. You don't want me to jungle. Right?
Yeah, I usually
like
open
appeal
up
to them
Phil
and tell them
except
that your best chance of winning is me not playing top.
You could say Phil except top, and then if you get stuck with top, hopefully it's one of those rare instances like Punch said. It's a popular pick. Everyone wants to play a solo lane, so
And most
usually
people,
you shouldn't get
most
stuck.
people are really happy to see a Phil or support, even if it's just Phil. They're like, oh, I won't get stuck with support. I will gladly take top over support. And then there you go. You got not top.
If you do get stuck top, pick a champion that you'll still have an impact on, even if you do fall behind, and that you're still going to be decent when it comes to like a team fight sort of situation. So like, let's say
Sandra.
yeah,
Mundo,
All right.
Maokai.
yeah, Mundo, Maokai. I like Malphite just because.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, like even if you have to, yeah, sure, you might not be able
All you
to
gotta do is
last
land
in
heal.
anything. That's exactly it. You have
Whether it
one
does
button
damage or
that you
not.
have to press, and as long as you're not terrible at pressing it, you helped. You're helping.
Someone that you can stay safe with, and like you said, you can contribute with, and someone you're comfortable with. I think that's
All
big
you have to
things.
do is not die. If you get in the lane, dude, I went and learned jungle because I realized that was like where I'm at right now at the high Plat 3 is that a lot of people don't want to play jungle for whatever reason. And
Nobody-
the ones that do,
It comes back to this. I'm gonna play jungle because nobody plays jungle.
Yeah, there it is. Thrown in the fire.
And so I picked up jungle. Well, I don't know why. Just one day I was like, I want to play jungle. Then I realized while playing more that playing jungle is actually the place for me in solo queue because I found my play style. And you need to do the same thing. You need to figure out what your play style is and play to that. If your play style is aggressive, you need to find yourself aggressive top laner. That's never going to be banned. You could play Malphite that way. You can play Udyr that way. You can play Pantheon that way, whatever it is. I found that in solo queue, I win more games when I play a supportish role than I do a carry role. So if I play Nautilus or Sejuani or Mumu in the jungle, I win more games than if I play Rek'Sai or Pantheon or Udyr. So you need to figure out what role that you want to fill in every single team you play, and play a champion that is going to fit those strengths and allows you to stay safe and not die. Don't die. You know that. You're Plat. Just don't die.
HP greater than 0 equals winning.
Also, try and consider some champions you might play mid or support in the top lane. The one that comes immediately to mind is Lulu, because you can play Lulu everywhere.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Lulu is definitely someone you can take top lane, who if you're a support main, you're probably comfortable with her.
People are seeing
that's
Morgana
successful.
out of top lane right now. You
Yeah,
can pull
Morgana
that
too.
same shit right now. Like, I mean, you could just move stuff from if you like the support, take stuff that benefits your play style, maining a support champion, and take it to the top lane.
You could even take one of your mid laners.
You
Yep,
could
like
definitely do
Cassandra.
that.
Because it's a solo lane.
Kennen.
Cassandra,
Yep,
Karthus,
Malzahar.
Mal's, Kennen, yeah.
Swain.
Yep.
I mean, we've pretty much seen it all in top lane nowadays. Cassiopeia.
Anybody can be top lane. Let's be fair here.
Yeah, so play what you're comfortable with.
Right. When I get stuck mid lane, I pretty much default to Victor and Ziggs at this point because they're never
Safe.
banned and they're safe, and I understand my limitations as champions. I understand Victor better than I understand Ziggs, but I can play both well enough. Don't ever let me play Xerath mid because I have a track record of feeding on Xerath for some reason. Actually,
So do
you know
I.
what it is? It's funny. This is something that I learned by playing Arums, is that I like to be in the front line, so mid is not the place for me, because I find myself as Victor standing in front of everybody else trying to engage a fight in Arums, and that actually took over to Summer's Rift, where I realized that I need to change my play style when I get into a lane that I'm not comfortable with. So, figure
I
it
like
out.
jungle.
Play styles.
I like jungle in solo queue. You can influence every lane, no matter who you have.
Well, that
where.
and it's also one of the more satisfying lanes because, like, if you are able to get ganks off and you do get your laners ahead, you're like, holy shit, I feel super accomplished because
Right.
I'm the reason why they're doing so well.
I hate taking kills. As a jungle, what's so funny is
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, that's my favorite part.
well, you guys
And
do,
then it
but
attacks after.
I don't want to take the kills. Like, I'll be like, I was 3-0-2 as Nautilus one day, and I was like, I still feel useless. Like, I have all this money, but I'm not doing anything other than being a giant front lane. So I actually took all my extra money and built a banner of command and forced my will out of the lanes because I was so far ahead.
Adam loves that banner command.
God, I love that item.
Banner of Command Jungle Nautilus.
No, I actually
really
watched
is a
Banner
good
of
item.
Command on a lot of
His
junglers.
banner of command is now like his anti-frozen mallet.
It really is.
The Banner of Command is like my ZZ Rot Malachi top lane, but Righteous Glory has taken over that spot.
I'm not a huge fan of like I like banner against double AP comps, but I'm not super sold on it yet.
Some people are chicken to buy it because, BOC, bok, but, just go ahead and buy it.
Oh please!
Thank you so much,
no.
Angelo, for writing in. Jonathan writes, here's my question. I know I should be playing with my screen unlocked, but it's a nice safety blanket I'm afraid to take off. This is like a 4 wards. This is a 4 wards discussion
It's
here.
been a while since I saw like we've definitely gotten this same sort of question way back in the day, but
Way
like
back in the day. Any tips, thoughts on how to make transition, how to position my screen for optimal effectiveness?
rip that Band-Aid off.
Just fucking rip it off.
Play
Rip it off.
champions with skill
Transition.
shots. Because locking on your champion with a skill shot champion like Ziggs, it's a pain in the butt. Or someone who has to go outside of the little
If
area.
you're trying to land full distance Nidalee spears with a lock camera, you're not gonna have a good time.
Okay, so misconception about lock camera is that it's always unlocked. I actually hold down my space bar a lot when I am playing this game. I actually play with lock camera in team fights. Pretty much I would say half the team fight I'm locked and half the team fight I'm unlocked, depending on what is going on. But I find it doesn't matter what champion I'm playing, doesn't matter what I'm doing.
That's why you're feeding on Zerath, Adam. We've just found the problem.
Well, it's more of I want to know where I'm at in team fight, so I will hold space or I'll press space to figure out where I'm at, and then once you've learned to play with it, you understand that you're in the middle of the screen, so I don't know the scientific thing behind it, but your brain automatically realizes where you're at in the screen, and that's how you get better at team fighting, because you know where your character's at in relation to your camera.
That's still the same mentality. A lot of like my buddy who's basically my buddy Greg, who's a monster at CS. Like every time when he would play with people that weren't as good as him, or like he was playing with a bunch of friends, like, holy shit, how are you doing so well? He's like, I know where the center of my screen is.
Yeah.
Like that it's as simple as that. Like he's played so much, he knows where the center of his screen is. And I almost feel I kind of want to know whether League is his kind of first top-down style game that he's played, because I've never played with lock camera, but I've also been playing real-time strategy games since I was like 6 years old.
StarCraft teach you never to play with lock camera.
Yeah.
Right.
Like that's if you've played Age of Empires back in the day, StarCraft, Warcraft 3, any of that stuff, you probably got real used to not using it. And honestly, like I didn't even know that people played with lock camera until we started doing these questions.
It's awkward for me. You just hit space once and it centers on it.
Right.
It doesn't stay locked, but you hit it once and then boom, you just get an idea where you're at.
Yeah. I generally don't hold it down. I just click it.
If you play champions who need to shoot off the screen, or but they might dart away from the screen, or you want to take a look at, you're not going to see all the all the minions you could CS, or the health on certain things, or where other minions are coming from, or I think it kind of tunnel visions my awareness. I don't like lock screen like that. So you'll feel freer if you unlock and just hit space. You can start hitting space as like a little training wheel, safety blanket.
Yeah.
Just hit it as much as you need to. Keep it off lock until you hit it less and less and
And
less.
if you hold space down, it stays locked on you.
Right. So maybe it'll be a way
go
to
into custom games.
ease out of it.
Just go into a bunch of custom games and practice your CS with it unlocked. Practice moving around. It's gonna take a while to get used to, and you're gonna hate it. But it's a necessary.
It's just like
I don't
learning
think
how
it
to
will take that long
smart
to
cast.
get used to. If
You
you
don't
rip
think
it
so?
off and you've got your spacebar training wheels, it shouldn't take you that long. It'll just take you a few games.
Well, same with like the SmartCast Sean was saying. I thought I would never get used to it, but I got used to it really,
It's
really fast.
amazing how quick you get used to it.
Yeah, and now it throws me off if I try to non-SmartCast. I used to non-SmartCast certain abilities like Scion's Q. I like the Q and then wait and Q again. I just couldn't get used to holding it. And then I forced myself to get used to holding it, because I didn't want to change it every time I played Scion because I was lazy. And you know what? It's so much easier that way.
I'm telling you, I say it over and time again. Do the shift stuff just so you can get a quick idea which way it's going to go and what it's going to do. Shift. I can shift D and I can go. Okay, that's my hit box.
Doesn't work for me though, just because I have my fingertips are numb and I can't tell if I'm on shift or caps lock. So
Fair enough. Fair enough. Jump into a custom game. I think Aaron would probably be a good mode for you to test it out in. Just because
probably
it's a single lane and you don't have to worry about anything else.
That's a good point.
In.
Aaron
I
was
mean,
perfect for
and
that.
this isn't. Don't even look at it necessarily like, yeah, it's going to help you out with being able to land skill shots potentially. But if you're positioning your camera right, it'll also help you dodge skill shots. So like this,
It's going to help your awareness too.
Yeah, this is a big benefit.
time.
You'll, especially if you're jungling too. You should be looking around the map anyway. This should just really, really help out your game as a whole once you're used to doing it.
Play champions like Lysandra, who completely reposition like on the claw. It's a little bit more awkward if you're locked and then you wait for the claw, then all of a sudden your screen completely shifts and you're kind of trying to get your bearings again. And then play that unlocked and you'll see right away the benefit, and it'll just feel better. Maybe that's something you could try.
I'm reading through these other questions because I don't actually remember which one. I don't want to talk about mid-game because I think that's a really long one to talk about.
We've done that a lot too.
Well, he wants to know how to improve his mid-game, and I think that's a whole 30 minutes we could talk about because I did say a while ago I think mid-game has pretty much been destroyed thanks to the tank meta. So, did
you want to scroll back to the top where you said something to end a podcast with?
Yeah, sure. Let's do that. One the podcast is this question because I think it's a good one to do. Yeah, good. Well said, DeClawd. Bruce Frog writes in. He says, "What are your favorite troll picks that you have either played as or against? For example, an all-tank team, Hook City, Blitz, not Thresh, Threes team. Or building AP, Champs AD. I personally like playing a bot lane as Soraka and Morgana. Building Soraka full ADC and watching people die from Infinity Edge bananas is hilarious."
All right, I have 2 of these for bot lane, and these were by far my 2 favorite lanes ever to run in bot lane. And that was Blitzcrank Xerath, especially when it was that the 6-on-6 mode in
Hexakill.
Hexakill. I loved Blitzcrank Xerath. It was so fun because if Blitz is able to land a hook, you stun them to death. If you're able to land the stun, Blitz automatically gets a hook. And then they're slowed from your W, and then you just keep smacking them with Q. That was fun as hell. The other one, my buddy Machi and I used to run what we called the bot lane swag lane, which was Nidalee and Lux. And again, it was one of those things you catch somebody out with a root and then you spear them in the face. And you just rinse and repeat. But I would go like AD Assassin Nidalee, and it would just get to the point where if you're able to completely land your combo, somebody's dead before the Lux binding ends.
Pretty good.
My favorite troll pick is APGP.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Because W, you heal up so much with Spirit Visage and maxing W.
We saw a lot of that APGP.
It's hard to kill that damn APGP.
With Earth mode and his
I haven't played it yet. I love it. I love APGP because you get a Lich Bane and a Spirit Visage. You can't kill him, and he does a fuckload of damage. But thanks to his
just runs around, shoots people, and doesn't die.
Pre-nerf.
And his ult 1.0 ratio and hits everybody. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, that's stupid GP. Like even the full DPS crit GP. Like that one time that I was playing that full damage GP out of the jungle, and you were playing Thresh, which I probably brought up 3 times in the past couple months. That game was so much fun just because I got so fed. Like, to be honest, almost any stupid pick is amazingly enjoyable if you're fed.
Yeah.
Except for AD Vladimir. Got stuck with that.
Oh yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Worst.
What was that? What was that mode where you go to the website and it picks?
It was Ultimate Bravery.
Ultimate Bravery.
Full AD Vladimir wasn't
That's
good.
what it is.
You don't ever do
bad.
it.
I know there's a popular. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, don't go Spellvamp Pantheon. Sure, your Heartseeker Strike will give you some health back, but Spellvamp sucks anyway. So I tried it out once to see, Gunblade Panth and everything. And I did the stacking in the old days when Ackley used to stack all the Gunblades. Did that on Pantheon to see, hey, you know what? All his abilities will heal me and my auto attacks. Nah, I didn't really.
All right, Punch, your favorite.
I don't know if it's my favorite. It's just a popular one nowadays that I've had fun with is AP Sinjao. I mostly had fun with him because I tried him out in Earth mode, and I never tried him out before that, but I can definitely see the potential. There has been videos of people playing AP Sinjao, and he's got the same thing that Gangplank has going, where he just heals a ton, so he's really hard to kill so long as he's auto-attacking. So long as he's auto-attacking, doesn't die, pretty much.
Same way.
And he's also getting cooldown reduction, which means you can cast his E a lot. His E is up every few seconds. Again, you got to be auto-attacking to get the cooldown reduction when you're using his Q. And since your E is the main source of damage, since that's pretty much all that has an AP ratio, you need that to be up often. And it is. You're constantly dashing at people, doing lots of damage, and it's very, very fulfilling, I feel. You've got the Mulan song going in your head the entire time. It's great.
I like the Soraka Morgana you're talking about. Building Soraka full ADC and
God, it sounds
Infinity Edge
terrible.
bananing them.
That's pretty much as bad as the AD Vladimir. I've tried an AD Vigar before. Just for no good reason. I called it the gauntlet build, and what I did was I threw down the E, and then I ran inside the E with them, and I said, "Let's fight." Enter the gauntlet.
Did you have Alistar in there with you so you had the Minotaur?
What was that?
Did you have Alistar in there so you had the Minotaur?
I should have, because
Gladiatorial
it didn't
man.
work very well, and I could have used him. Every time I entered the gauntlet with somebody, they always left alive. and
They
I was
left
not.
alive.
I used to like the Emperor Palpatine,
Yeah,
which
we know.
I still considered a troll build, but it worked. Now it doesn't. So
Hey, Punch,
Yeah.
can you hit the gong? We didn't get it last night. Can
Yeah,
you take us out?
we are liars. We
Well, we
lied
didn't-
last night.
we are liars. I thought we were gonna hit.
Wait! He didn't wait.
He didn't hear you. The gong was going off.
Thanks,
Darn.
guys. That's it. We're ending the podcast there. Don't forget. I'm slurring my words. Don't forget to go check out Teespring. Teespring.com/TForce Poppy. Please go buy an Optimus Poppy t-shirt. At 50 t-shirts, Tom will be streaming. He will be streaming a full session of Poppy, like a whole day of Poppy. They were telling him on the LCS rundown that they had to do it in ranked. And they were like, well, we know you're going for Diamond, but I hope you like Gold 5, because that's where you're headed.
Is he gonna wear a wig too with the pigtails? And
I was about to say, if he
If we
dresses up
make
like
50,
Poppy,
if we make 50, I will send him a wig, a Poppy wig, if it makes
might
the
be a devastating blow to his ego, but
Yeah.
it'd be worth it.
That's right. He has no diplomatic immunity in this in this feature, so he has to wear the Poppy
Well
wig.
said.
next thing you know, we buy out all the shirts just so we get to see this happen. Like,
All right, guys.
There's 20 t-shirts sold as of right now. I need 30 more sold. I say 20. I think there's actually 18, but I'm going to buy a couple of them for some people on the show and whatnot. So there's 20 shirts sold. I need 30 more of you to buy a t-shirt. They're $20 plus shipping, so it's like $2 to $3 shipping. $23. I mean, that's nothing. Come on, help with the podcast.
Shirt looks great.
Teespring.com/TForce Poppy. It's the best shirt that we've ever had out there. So I'm going to end this podcast now. That's episode number 252 of the Trinity Force podcast. Thank you so much, guys, for supporting us and sticking with us through 250 episodes. We're going to be doing another 250 episodes here for you and over the next couple of years. So thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
Later, guys.
see ya.
Peace.